Welcome, NEC fans, to the NEC On the Run podcast. I'm Ron Ratner, as always, joined by Pioneer Pride himself, Ratner and Peters. And Ryan, let's just get right into it. Week 3, now in the books. Let's go to the weekend takeaways.
Yeah, we had 4 teams finish 2-0 for the week. Let's start with LIU. They've been on a roll. They've now won 4 straight games, and they've held their opponents to a combined 0.90 points per possession. They've been dominant. The thing that's been most impressive, not only because of Ty Flowers, 43 points, 16 rebounds, 13 assists, is they've outscored their opponents in fast break opportunities 106-25 in these 4 wins. They're really exerting their tempo and pace on their opponents. And then also, too, generating turnovers. They're number 1 in league play in turnover rate defensively, 70 turnovers. They've gotten 85 points off of those turnovers. The Sharks are playing at a high level defensively right now.
Kendall Davis causing a lot of havoc in the backcourt, anywhere he is, stealing the ball, starting the fast break. LIU's been really impressive on this streak. Will probably be a great game when they play Wagner, who I know you want to talk about as well.
100%. I've seen Wagner up close. They had good wins, a gritty win against St. Francis Brooklyn, and then they blew out FDU on Monday. They've been terrific. They've now won 7 in a row, and Alex Morales, Elijah Ford, Will Martinez, and Raekwon Rogers, who we're going to talk about later in this program, have been fantastic. They combined for 64 points and 21 rebounds in Monday's win. And they're atop the league standings right now at 6-0, playing at a very high level for Bashir Mason.
I think they scored over 170 points last week while making only 5 3-pointers. Yes. It's the Wagner style, and it works for them. It may not work in your analytics, Ryan, but it works for Bashir Mason and the Seahawks.
The analytics work, though, when you look at their points per paint. They're dominant. They scored 60 points in each game against St. Francis Brooklyn and FDU. That's tough to do. A lot of teams don't even score 60 points for the entire game, but Wagner's doing it in the paint.
Yeah, they are tough. They are still now the only undefeated team in the NEC in first place, game ahead of Bryant. Let's talk about Sacred Heart for a minute. Coming off a COVID pause, they took care of business over the weekend.
They did. They protected their home floor against FDU in Central Connecticut, games that they were supposed to win. And they did it 2 different ways. Against the Knights, they were efficient inside the arc, 22 of 38. And then they shot the 3-ball really well against the Blue Devils on Monday. And, they have the big 3 now of Aaron Clarke, Tyler Thomas, and Nico Gillette. They combined to score 104 points over the weekend. So a productive effort for Anthony Latina. And now they have a challenging road trip ahead, that Emmitsburg, Loretto, PA road trip. It'll be interesting to see how they respond.
Another team really cooking right now is Bryant. Impressive weekend at home. Peter Kiss really on his game, had 31 points on Monday. Adam Alita, big day on Saturday with 8 3-pointers, getting some contributions, getting contributions all over the place. What do you make of the Bulldogs at this point?
I mean, they're legit. I thought they were the second best team going into league play, and I still believe that. They're right there with Wagner. They literally could have won that game at the Spiro Center one or 2 Thursdays ago. And like you said, Kiss is playing at a really high level. Not only 31 points, but he had 9 rebounds and 6 assists in that game. Alita just gives them such a great floor spacing option. And then Charles Pride and Hall Lyges, they're just grizzled veterans who know how to play, they know how to produce, and they're playing really well right now. The thing with Jared Grasso is he's got 6 or 7 guys, so I'm a little worried about the depth because they are top heavy, but they certainly have stars and they're playing well right now.
Yeah, Ryan, it's getting crowded at the top of the NEC. Some more good games we'll talk about coming up this week, but those were our weekend takeaways. We have a fun Twitter timeout for you this week. What do you want to hit, Ryan?
Matt Murrow, who does a great job running an NEC blog called The Mid-Range Jumper, really kind of hammers the analytics home, which is something I obviously like. He's got a request for you, Ron. He wants a dunk contest between the 2 guys who have been part of SportsCenter's top 10 plays this year, Kendall Davis and Elijah Ford. They are certainly giving the NEC plenty of content to highlight.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I'm with Matt on this. I see a pay-per-view on NEC Front Row, probably something like $59.95. We're going to do some UFC type pricing on it. And we're going to bring our 2 best, our showmanship dunkers out there. Kendall Davis, he had a windmill last night. He answered Elijah Ford's windmill from 2 days earlier. Elijah had another good dunk in Monday's game against FDU. These are SportsCenter top 10 players. They are high flyers. They are a lot of fun to watch. And I hope it's a competition. Let's one up each other here and keep raising the stakes along the way. And we had some other ones that can slam too. So fun stuff for our Twitter timeout this week. We're going under the radar. We're going to Brooklyn for Alex Rivera, who's been lighting it up for the Sharks.
He's been tremendous over the last 2 games, and I've always loved Rivera's toughness and kind of do everything mentality. And I've been waiting for him to get going offensively, and he really did it over the weekend. In the last 2 wins, he's made 8 threes. He dished out 7 assists to 1 turnover, and he's given LIU some much-needed efficiency in that backcourt. When he's playing at a high level and you pair him with that efficient front court and Ty Flowers and Errol Penn and Isaac Conte, and then we mentioned earlier Kendall Davis's defense and high-flying ability, that's a team that's tough to beat, and that's why Rivera is a big part as to why LIU is playing really well right now.
Yeah, if he can floor space, open up the middle for those big 3, it's going to be tough to stop LIU moving forward. Our Star Watch this week takes us to Staten Island.
Raquan Rogers from Wagner. It's no longer the big 3, Ron, in Wagner between Alex Morales, Elijah Ford, and Will Martinez. You now have to throw Raquan Rogers into the mix. He's been playing like a star all season, but really in league play, he's really taken it to another level. 17 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, shooting 60% from the field, 13 offensive rebounds. And the thing that I love about Rogers' game, and you and I have talked about this before, at 6'8", 240 pounds, he should not move like that. He's got sneaky athleticism. He's got great balance and footwork, especially in the low post. And he's been a wonderful add to Bashir Mason's group. He fills that 5 spot around Elijah Ford and Alex Morales. And just it's a wonderful addition. And he's a big reason why Wagner's thriving now.
You heard it from Ryan. The big 3 is now the Fantastic 4 at Wagner, thanks to Raquan Rogers, our Star Watch highlight performer. Now for our play of the week. And while we're going to go to Elijah Ford for it, it may not be the play that you're thinking of.
No, it's not an athletic dunk and transition. Rather, it's a critical play late in that game on Saturday against St. Francis Brooklands. Wagner was up by 4. The Terriers call a timeout. They run a play, perfect execution for Patrick Emelian. He beats his defender. He gets to the rim, and then Elijah Ford just blows it up. Great help defense, gets the block, and puts that game out of range for the Terriers. Wagner gets the W.
Very similar to the block he had against Bryant the week prior, late in the game when Wagner was making their run. Elijah Ford making winning plays for the Seahawks. For our milestone segment, we go to Fairfield, and Aaron Clarke, senior guard from Parsippany, New Jersey, and Pope John High School, scored his 1,000th point on Saturday. He is the second current NEC player with 1,000 points, joining Ty Flowers, who ironically scored his 1,500 point this week as well. Ryan, give me a little bit on Aaron.
I mean, he's fun to watch. I liken him to like the old school guards like Phil Gaetano and Drew Shubik, if you're going back to Pioneer lore. And the thing that I like about Aaron is he's just tough, savvy, and he gets to the rim. And, the Pioneer teams have won a lot with Aaron in the program over the last 3.5 years. They've had 36 regular season wins in league play, and Aaron is a big part of that.
Let's bring Aaron in right now. I want to ask him, especially about that old school comment you just made. We're now joined by a special guest, Parsippany's own Aaron Clarke from Sacred Heart University, a senior guard. Aaron, thanks so much for joining us, and congrats on reaching 1,000 points and your 2 wins over the weekend.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Aaron, your efficiency has really soared in your senior year. You're shooting 49% from 2, 35% from 3. You have 49 assists to 25 turnovers. What has led to your terrific – I mean, you've always been good as a Pioneer, but what has led to your terrific first half of this season, now in your 4th year under Anthony Latina?
I think it has to be my the work that I put in this offseason and my coaching staff just believing in me and my teammates believing in me. I feel like if you have the belief of your teammates and your coaches and the confidence to go out there, then the work that you put in this offseason, then you can have a good first half of the year.
I mean, you've had a lot better fitness this season. Talk about the work that you put in the offseason to get to the point where you're at now.
Yeah, well, I had a good amount of injuries throughout my college career, and I thought that losing some weight and changing my diet could really help me with my game and trying to take my game to the next level, whether that's with my being a little faster, being a little quicker, lighter on my feet. I felt like that would really help me take my game to the next level. And I did that by just working out every day, 2-3 times a day, changing my diet. I completely took out dairy, and I feel like I reaped the benefits.
Me too. I'm no longer eat dairy too, Aaron. So we're in the same boat. Go ahead, Ron.
Aaron, I'm going to ask you to describe your game, but I'm going to tell you how what I think. There's definitely an old school sort of nature to your game. You remind me now. I'm going to go back here. I don't know if you'll know this, Aaron, but Ryan, you should. Dennis Johnson on the Celtics, back from the classic '80s teams, kind of score from all levels, strong in the air, no wasted motion. How would you describe yourself as a player?
You mean like compared to another player? Like kind of
Either compared to another player or just your game. If you had to describe it to somebody, what would you say?
Like a person I look up to and I like to kind of model my game after is Jalen Brunson. I usually get that a lot. I feel like he can score at all levels. He has good footwork. He's a good passer. And I try to play like that. I try to be savvy with the ball. I'm not too fast, so like I know my speed, and I just try to get to my spots and know how to get to them and play off through and score the ball.
I mean, one spot that you always get to is the rim. You're just so savvy getting downhill, turning the corner against your defender, like you said, despite not having, I guess, elite athleticism or elite quickness. But I feel like you're on the ground like 2 or 3 times a game, absorbing contact, and you've had some acrobatic finishes. Have you always been like that growing up in high school and AAU ball? Someone who hits the floor regularly?
Yeah. I mean, I get teased about it a lot that I'm always on the floor, but I mean, growing up, I really was like, when I was younger, I was really just a spot up shooter. And then like as my game evolved, I started becoming more of a point guard and playing point guard growing up, and I think that's really helped me. Like you say, be able to get to the rim and finish and be acrobatic at the rim.
Yeah, you're like a baseball player who gets his uniform dirty in the second inning. Like you're sliding to second base, you're diving for a ground ball. It's basically the equivalent of you hitting the deck, 2 or 3 times a game. But it feels like that energy that you personify in getting to the rim and giving it your all kind of helps your teammates as well, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Well, Aaron, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time. We know you're busy, but we're always looking to get the best and the brightest on our weekly show. So we will see you on the court soon, Aaron.
Thank you. Have a good day.
In our games to watch segment, before we hit our TV game, Ryan, let's talk a little bit about Mount St. Mary's and their game against Sacred Heart this week. Mount coming off a big win at Merrimack. You could start to see things are starting to come together for Dan Engelstad's crew. You got a hot Sacred Heart team. And this is going to be the first home game for Mount this season down in Emmitsburg.
Yeah, they're playing really good defensively. Once again, they're the third best defensive efficiency in league play. And that Merrimack game was really impressive. They held Merrimack scoreless in the final 4:49 of that game. And then also, too, the offense kind of came alive. They got off to a slow start in the first half, but they scored on six straight possessions in that first half to go ahead and take the lead for good. And then Malik Jefferson was just awesome in that game. 16 points, 9 rebounds. He really matched up well against Jordan Minor. And so the Mount, they have Jalen Benjamin. We know he's a great playmaker. Offer him off the dribble. Opoku and Jefferson down low. I think they're getting their mojo back. And, it's going to be interesting to see how they do. They have 2 home games that are winnable against Sacred Heart and Central Connecticut this weekend. I think, they can make some noise and get back into the upper half of the league standings with a good week.
Yeah, definitely keeping my eye on that game on Friday night, Mount Sacred Heart at Knott Arena. Also that night, we are on ESPN Plus, first one of the year on the Plus. Central Connecticut heading out to Loretto to face Rob Crimmel's crew.
Yeah, I love the point guard matchup here between Nigel Scantlebury and Ramir Dixon Conover. Both floor generals are just dynamic and attacking off the bounce. They do a great job of serving as the main playmakers for their respective group. And I'm just curious to see how Pat Sellers is going to handle this veteran front court. Obviously, we know about Josh Cohen and Mark Flagg and, Marlon Hargis. And so there's a lot of good young bigs in Andre Snoddy and Jaden Brown, but how are they going to match up against that front court? That's going to be a key to Central Connecticut's success.
Friday night, Central SFU on ESPN Plus. As always, the remaining slate of games will be on NEC Front Row for free and on the NEC on the Run series of mobile apps. That's a wrap, Ryan. Great show. Looking forward to this week's action. Remember, fans, it's a Friday, Sunday format this week. We'll be back next week with another edition of NEC on the Run.